Welcome everyone to round 3 of IRC Esports Season 6 of GT3 Racing. Here we are at Silverstone now with a technical track and we'll really test the skills of our drivers. And today also we'll be having double the points than we used to have in our previous two races of the season. So yes, there are a lot of points to grab. And today in the commentary box I'm joined by Simply and the streamer is Couple. So Simply, over to you.
Yeah, hello Tanish. It's gonna be a first time commentating over ACC, guys. I have seen how they have raced before, and been quite interesting to see how they race. They have very fun races, incidents and dramas all over. So it'll be interesting to see what they can present us today.
Yep, and I think the quali is already started, so we can get a lot more talking today. But let's jump into the quali and see what drivers are doing on track. So yes, here we are in quali, and is it only me, or do you also see that the track is not dry?
Definitely is rain. I think could be some drivers I think who could be trying to risk it on the slick tires, but I think it'll be a safer option to be on the wets.
Yep, and it was pretty much expected that there's a 40% chance of the rain in the session. So there were, a lot of discussions going on if the drivers will be taking a hybrid of a wet and a dry setup, or they'll be going full risk and either dry or wet setup. So it's really a gamble, and we need to see for whom it will pay off today.
Yeah, definitely. Although I think experienced drivers and the really quick ones like the Vleesh, Panda, and Kake are really going to come out on top here today, since they are one of our faster boys. They are basically the fastest boys we have in ACC, and their experience does come into hand, especially when it's raining.
Yep, and the best part is that we have double the points. So and the race is full gamble, I should say. So the for the driver, this race goes well, and then he'll like, okay, I got 2x points, so it could just really change the championship order immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's basically going to be all to play for here. I think the driver is going to be taking extra risks considering that it's double points. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of moves we can see. Maybe someone's going to pull off, something unusual in an unusual corner, and we'll see if it pays off for them at the end of the day.
Yep, and if I'll just walk through the format for today's race, it's same as the previous two races. So it's a 10-minute quali followed by a 20-minute race whose order will be set by the quali results, and then followed by a 30-minute race to whose order will be set by the results of race 1. So yep, two races, wet races, dry races, we'll find out. For now, let's can we see who is on the top, as it's only 4 minutes remaining in quali. So if we can see who is leading the pack right now in qualifying. uh Wait, it's only 4 minutes and a lot less drivers have put in the laps yet. It's just showing how difficult it is to drive in these conditions. It's still Davlish who is on top, so pretty much expected, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, people like Davlish, Kake are fairly experienced and they know how to keep it clean on track. And as 8 cylinders goes, the second fastest provisionally, just about 10th and a half behind Davlish. So, yeah, I think the wet conditions are really catching these drivers off. I think multiple invalidations going on for these drivers.
Yep, and if I talk about Eitzel, he really performed well in the previous race. So it would just have developed his confidence for like before coming into this race, and he'll feel like, okay, I can do a lot better than I did before. So yes, I really think it would be I should say a very good race for him. Okay, I don't want to jinx him, but still, I really expecting that he should have a good race today.
Definitely. I mean, as long as he can keep it clean, I certainly do believe that he has the pace to at least stay on the overall top three podium. Although, I mean, of course, we don't want to discount the other drivers as well. They have an equally fair shot at that podium. But yeah, I mean, considering that how the first round went for Eitzel, he was quite sad about it, and he was disappointed up, because it wasn't his best of performances. But he's really clawed back in the last race, and I think he'll be trying to make it one better in this race.
Yep, and as we see, I think it was Sai Prithvi who replaced Davlish from P1 by 6 tenths. So the conditions are really, really challenging for the drivers. It's not, and yes, it's the wet conditions, so it's not always like the fastest driver would be on top. It's just I should say, skill and experience, and
Definitely.
the rainy conditions pretty much brings the drivers to a bit closer level, I should say. So, yep, it would be very interesting to see who comes out on top today.
Definitely. I mean, the car does play in somewhat of a factor, but I think the balance of power sort of balance it out for these drivers. So at the end of the day, it does come around to the skill of these drivers who can keep it clean, who can keep it on track, and who can set a proper lap. And I think in these conditions, considering most of the drivers haven't set a quali lap yet, I think as long as you can just get a clean lap in, I think you'll be looking at least a top 15 starting position.
Yep, I agreed with that. And it's a 20 corner track, so it's not gonna be easy for the drivers in these conditions. You're just like going, and after the straights, the fast corners are just coming to you, and you're just like going left and right, especially at Nuggets and Buckets. In these conditions, with the cars having much lesser downforce, if we compare them to F1 cars, so yep, it's gonna be challenging.
It's definitely going to be challenging. Uh, Although I think, uh, these drivers are, of course, very skilled within themselves. I think at the end of the day, they're going to pull through with the quali lap. That's what we're hoping for at least. And as we're on board with Akbar Kumar in the Mercedes, who's on a lap currently, I think he's also struggling with his laps before trying to set a valid lap, and that's Prakhar Vats who's behind. I'm not sure who that was, but I don't think he got blocked. But yeah, Prakhar Vats running a very good livery in my opinion. I like it, but yeah, these conditions are definitely catching our drivers. As we can see, yellow flags somewhere. I think
Yeah, it's the car number 6, I think, which just
number
returned
six,
to
and they have
pits. I think it
yeah.
was FIFA Kanak, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, again, these conditions, of course, catching out the best of the drivers as well. It is getting tricky, and since we have, I think, 30 drivers on the grid today, there's not much space on track as well. So they'll have to really find out the space, as we only have about 10 seconds left of the qualifying.
Yep, and for now it's okay. Davlish takes P1 again from Sai Prithvi by almost 3 tenths. So right now, top three are all pro drivers, with Davlish leading by a lap time of 2:69. Wow, that's a good lap time.
Yeah, considering I hate to repeat myself, but considering the conditions, it definitely is a very good lap time, and it is definitely going to give Davlish an edge in the race, regardless if it's dry or wet.
Yep,
Starting from pole is always something that you want to do, and he's not going to have anyone ahead of him, so he doesn't have to be cautious. He just has to worry about Sai Prithvi, who's behind him. But as long as he can clear him off into turn one, I think it's going to be pretty smooth sailing for Davlish from there onwards.
yep, and I don't know why, but I feel like the track is getting a bit drier from what it was before, because there's a lot less spray compared to when we just started like quali. So is it the track improvement which is helping the drivers to improve their lap times, or is it just that experience on the track that they're using to just better their lap times? What do you think?
I think it's a bit of mix of both. I mean, we haven't seen rain. It was just the track was wet, so these drivers doing continuous laps made a dry line on the track, and that is what these drivers are trying to use to try and set a lap. Although, of course, most still haven't set a lap. Whoever is able to is like in top 20 as we speak, as qualifying is now over. Prakhar Vats still trying to set a lap over here. Uh, he was blocked by someone earlier in the lap or the previous lap. So yeah, he's just trying to go again. As long as he can set a lap, he'll definitely be within the top 20 here.
But
So I think
I,
I think it's still not a bad starting position.
but I don't know if if his current lap is good enough or not. We'll find out soon, because the qualifying is over, so it's his last lap and he has to do it well.
And
So
he's
let's see
crossing the
what
line
lap.
here, and
And
he goes
P3.
P3.
Wow. Oh, that's a
That
really good lap
definitely was a
time.
good lap. Yeah. So I don't think we should be underestimating any of these drivers, as qualifying is now over.
Yes, and Prakhar was making a return to GT3 racing in ACC league. Like, he was not available for the previous two races, and just coming for this race, and suddenly seeing those challenging conditions and still managing to perform so well. So yep, that's really good from
And
him.
definitely, and while we were away looking at Prakhar, I think Sai Prithvi improved and he's taken pole position away from Davlish.
Yep, and I think we should go through the qualifying order. So in the lead, we have Sai Prithvi today, who replaces Davlish, like he was just going P1 from the past two races, and now it's Sai Prithvi on the top, followed by Davlish, and then Prakarvats with an amazing lap time of 2:72, followed by Rishabh, then Worship the Panda, 8 cylinders, Kake, Purav Gowda, Abhay Thakur, FIFA Kanak, followed by Moto and Ghost, Oshan, Faizan, Cannonade, Saidak, Akbar, Vishnu Anand, Raja. And in P20, we have Akshay Shivani, followed by Starboy 420. He's a bit down. He's a
He
pro
did
driver,
not
but I
settle
think
up.
he did not get the lap, yes. So, followed by Babaji. Then Supreme Kai, washing the powder Nirma. And then it's, I think, Raidu, followed by KG, Star Max Lord, Mr. Rod, Shan, and Hasaka.
Who did not settle up. I think that is about 9 or such drivers who did not settle up
Yes,
lap
and
time.
yep, and
So
sorry
I
to
think they
interrupt
were
you. Uh,
struggling.
okay,
Yeah, go
sorry to
on.
interrupt you, but I'm really excited for this race because it's rainy conditions.
Oh
So
yeah, it is raining. Will
yes,
be
and I
interesting
think
to see.
it's really heavier than what it was in qualifying. So drivers really gonna adapt to the track.
I don't think it
And
was raining in qualifying, Tanish. Sorry to cut you off, but the track was wet. But now it is raining, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of things could happen that could unfold throughout the race, I should say.
yep, and as the drivers are starting their short formation lap, and we are just waiting for the green flag, and we're gonna find out how many drivers come out alive from T1 in these challenging conditions. But I really believe all these drivers are really skilled enough, so I'm really hoping for a good start as they cross the checkered line, start finish line. Let's okay, it's green flag and it's lights out. Away we go. I think Davlish got a much better start than Sai Prithvi, and he's already overtaken Sai. Okay, no, he runs wide. He runs wide. These conditions are really challenging as we see cars are struggling to make the corner and just running off track through the curbs. And okay, there's crash behind. I don't know who. Okay, there are so
Oh,
many
that's
drivers involved. So many drivers involved. It's really challenging
yeah.
conditions. That was somewhat expected.
Yeah, that was expected, but I was expecting something throughout the corners. I believe that was on the straight, as in the start, Davlish went off wide and he was fighting Sai Prithvi side by side, and these drivers still being side by side. As someone spins off in the back over there, someone's going off wide onto the grass as well, and I think Davlish and Sai Prithvi have really pulled away a gap from the rest of the pack.
Yep, and okay, I think Sai Prithvi is struggling a lot as we see Prakhar was already overtaking Sai Prithvi in the same BMW M4 GT3 car. And it's Davlish who is leading the pack, followed by Prakhar Vats, followed by Sai Prithvi in P3. And I think they have made a comfortable space from the guy in P4. And it's Abhay Thakur already in P4. I
Yeah,
think he
very
was,
good start for him.
yeah, I think he was lower than P10 in qualifying, and now he's already P4. So we can see what carnage was there at the start. And see one more car spinning. I think it was. Oh, I don't know whose Audi was it. I think it was
I
Rishabh.
think yeah, could be Rishabh, and then Saidov just hit his rear and he spun as well now. So he's going to try and look to recover in the next 18 minutes of this race. As we can see, Rishabh over here is now trying to make a move on FIFA Kanak, and there's somebody going side by side up ahead. Um, it is
Yes,
KG and Oshan who are fighting over here.
and
And now Rishabh is also coming into the mix with Panda.
as we see Shan already getting a drive through. I don't know what's the reason behind that. Is it the crash or did he jump the start? But yes, he has to suffer the drive through. And there's a Porsche spinning. Was it okay? I think it was Oshan. Yes, it was
Is
Oshan's
Oshan.
Porsche which spun there. Okay, these conditions are proving really challenging for the drive. As we see another car going off track, which is I think Rishabh or I think FIFA Kanak again. I think it was
Is
FIFA
FIFA
Kanak.
Kanak.
Yes. So and just see the gap from P3, dude. Just see the gap.
Yeah, it's a very big gap, and we can clearly see which drivers have a lot of skill right now. Of course, it is the top three drivers who've pulled away a large gap to the rest of the pack, and here it just feels like Fernando Alonso, who just holds the rest of the pack behind him in multiple races as he's done. So this is somewhat what it resembles. Although of course, anything could happen in a race, especially when it's raining and it's very wet.
Yep, and I would just like to rephrase you a bit. I just feel like the skills are good enough from I think all drivers. It's just that the adaptability, like the top three are much more, much more like adaptable to the changing conditions, and it just shows their experience in driving these on driving in these conditions. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think my words were taken the wrong way, as we're seeing that a few drivers have gone into the pits. I
Yeah.
think they have some sort of damage, of course, from the collision that happened on lap one. So they're definitely trying to get that fixed and trying to get back into the race as quickly as possible
Yep.
and salvage as many points as they could.
Yep, and as we see Davlish leading the pack, followed by Prakharvats and Sai Prithvi, I think Prakharvats would be, his mindset is like, from what I have understood, like I used to race with him before. So from what I've understood, that he just waits for the driver in front to make the mistake. He's not that driver who likes to lead, but he likes to follow the faster driver. If he feels like, okay, the driver in front is a bit faster or similar pace, he just sticks behind, forces the driver into errors, and then makes the move. So basically just tries to destroy his momentum. So I think that's really, how should I like phrase it? Any good words you got for that skill?
I mean, all I could say is that's a very good race sort of planning going on over here, because it's considering that these conditions where it's raining very heavily, drivers are bound to make mistakes if they're not on their 110% at all times. And considering that he's putting pressure on Davlish, it's not going to be easy for him, of course, because Davlish is one of the last people to break in such moments and situations. But if he continues to put on such sort of pressure throughout the race, I think he could catch out Davlish if he ever does make a mistake.
Yep. And right now we are on board with Ghost, who is following 8 cylinders in a McLaren. Okay, so I see one more car exiting the pits. Who is that? Is it? I think it's Kake. Yes, it's Kake. I think he got involved in the incident at the start and might have suffered from the damage that was caused. So yep, I think that's really unfortunate for him. But again, we have one more race, a lot more points to grab. So he just try to finish as high as he can in this race, and just hope for a good race in the next one.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kake is one of those drivers who has the pace and the experience to pull back. So I think Kake is going to look forward to the next race. And of course, he still has 14 and a half minutes left. So he's going to try and salvage whatever he can in the current race. And as we can see, the spray is very high, and we're barely able to make out what's going on at these speeds. But yeah, looks like someone's gone off wide. I think that was Baba G, and as Panda also goes off slightly wide, just go. Going through.
Wow.
Green light, give it all you can.
If by chance, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I
I
believe
think we
we're
are
on air.
live. Yep, we are live. Sorry for the inconvenience, people. We got some technical difficulties, and now our streamer tried his best to fix it, and now we are back live. So thank you, couple. And now I think we can start in 6 minutes left in the race. So can we? And right now it's Purav Goda who's trying to make a move on Supreme Kai, or was it Supreme Kai trying to make a move on Purav Goda?
It
Okay,
was Vishnu Anand making a move on. No, sorry, it was Purav Gowda making a move on Vishnu Anand.
Yep, and that's a Bentley overtaking a BMW. So was it just straight line power or was it just the cornering grip? We don't know. But again, I think couple can we go on board with the top drivers? We just want to see if there's a, okay. There's a lead change. It's Prakhar what's leading from Sai Prithvi. Where's Davlesh now? And he's P24 in pits. So something happened midway in the race, and we'll try to see if we can get the replay and see what exactly happened to Davlish. But yes, something happened midway. Now it's Prakharvats who is leading the race, followed by Sai Prithvi and 8 still in P3, followed by Abhay Thakur. Dude, okay, I would really go. I'm not gonna jinx, but Abhay Thakur is really performing well today.
Definitely, but personally, I want Eitzel to be on the podium since he is my favorite driver on the grid.
Yes, he is on podium in the first race for now. So, but
Yeah, so I think it'll come down to how well he can defend off from Abhay Thakur and if he can keep it clean himself and not get any penalties or make any mistakes.
yes, exactly. And if it's Prakharvats, I think he's leading. I think is it a 11-second margin to Sai Prithvi, if I'm not wrong? Almost 11-second margin to him. I think
That
it
looks.
is. Yes, it is a 11-second margin to Sai Prithvi. And right now we are on board with Rishabh, who is just chasing Abhay Thakur for that P4, followed by Baba
I think
G,
it's
who
more
has
of a
already got
fight
a
for.
drive-through.
Sorry to cut you off, Tanish. I think it's more
Yep.
of a fight for P3. So Eitzel has a lot of pressure on him because if he makes one mistake, he's falling back behind all of these drivers. And we can see Rishabh and Abhay Thakur both going off wide and rejoining back on the track. So that's going to sort of help Eitzel because now he's got somewhat of a gap to Eitzel more, I think about 2.5 seconds. So that's going to put some pressure on Eitzel as Rishabh spins, loses traction, and he spins. As I
Okay.
said, you make a mistake, you're going to fall back behind all of these drivers, and it's just a very, very big chain starting from 8 cylinders. And I think going back down, not sure to what exact position, but yeah, it's quite a long chain, and making one mistake would mean you'd fall back behind all of these drivers.
Yep, and if we see in the race one itself, there are so many different possibilities today. It's not the fastest driver who is coming out on top. It's that who is and the conditions, and it's like a totally different thing from dry races. And okay, was it lag? And because I just saw a car just flying through the track.
Yeah, I think it is lag. I think the server has lag. Something's happened here, but not sure
So
what's going on.
I think it's the server just acting badly for the drivers. I don't know why. Or is it the connection? I'm not sure, but we'll be back soon with the race boys because we need to see who finishes on top.
Green light. Give it
Although
all you
we are
got.
seeing Prakhar Vats in the lead, and was it Ghost who was making a move on Oshan?
I believe
I think it was a lap car if I'm not wrong.
it could have been a lap car since Oshan has a 6 second gap to Ghost right now. I believe it
Yep,
was washing powder Nirma.
yep. And if you see at the a lot of pro drivers are getting unlucky with these conditions, and I should say disconnection, because from the chat I can see Davlish the point when Kapil's system died. So at the same time, Davlish system also crashed if I'm not wrong, and he got disconnected from the race. So that's really unlucky for him. But
I think
again,
it could be
Davlish, you
some
got
sort
race
of
too.
a streamer curse, I guess.
I don't know. But again, yes, for Davlish, you still got race too. So yes, you can still get a lot of points. So yeah, you just got a bit unlucky, I should say. But again, wait for the race too. You're gonna really do well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Davlish definitely has the pace to
Yep.
fight back and come through, regardless of it being dry or wet conditions. And you can see right now on board with Kake, who's in P10, having a decent race himself. As we can see, that is not sure who went off wide there.
Kumar
As
got a
Akbar
drive
Kumar
through in
gets a
that.
drive
What?
through.
How? Wait, he didn't even go off track there, did he?
That was Rishabh who went off wide, and we can see Worship the Panda has spun Now that's going to put Rishabh in contention for P7 over here for his position, as Babaji has a drive-through and he's serving it right now. I
Okay,
think we've
why
missed out on a lot.
we really missed out on a lot, and it's not only the conditions which are proving challenging for the drivers. It's the, I should say, the server itself who is creating a lot of difficulties for the drivers, and the penalty system as well. So there's a lot to play for in this race, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, and we see there's a driver number 25 who spun out of Cop's corner. So yeah, the drivers are still starting to get to grips with these conditions. That is KG in the McLaren who spun and made a mistake coming out of Cop's corner, but he is still uh, in a decent position over here. He's just behind Candidate, and I think he can get his position back.
Yep, purely. And right now we are still on board with Ghost, who is chasing Kake. I think Kake is also doing really well, because I think he was the one who, I am not sure if he got involved in the incidents, but he was the one exiting the pits at the start, so he might have suffered some damage, and now he's running P9.
Yeah,
So,
so it has been a good recovery for Kaki certainly in this race, as the timer takes 0, and I believe this will be the last lap.
yep, and it's still, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's Prakhar Watts in the lead, followed by Sai Prithvi and who's P3? Okay, yes, it's still
Cylinder.
P3.
The leader has
So,
finished
you know,
race
at the start, okay, and Prakhar crosses the
Oh,
line to
that's
win
the
the
checkered
race
flag.
number
Okay.
1.
Yeah, Prakarvat's very good race for him. He started P3, I believe, and then Sai Prithvi just could not keep it close to Davlish, and Davlish unfortunately had that disconnection. So uh, Prakarvat's got promoted up into P1, and he just kept it clean throughout and took the checkered flag from there.
Yep, and Sai Prithvi also crosses P2, although with a big margin, I should say, but still a good result from Sai Prithvi, considering the
Definitely.
challenging conditions. And dude, it's okay, it's 8 Sil. Congrats, 8 Sil for P3.
Yes.
You know, at the start, we were just discussing, don't, he was like, don't stream, don't go on board with me if I spin. And now he's P3. So, is that an anti jinx, I should say?
He's jinxed his own jinx. It is an anti-jinx, definitely, considering that he is on the podium. He's kept it clean throughout the race. And yeah, that just helped him get the podium.
Yep, and as we see Ghost also crossing the line, so its drivers are just finishing their races, a race of struggle, I should say. So yep, and as we see, like, it's P17 who is crossing the line now. So once all the
Vishnu
drivers
Anand.
crosses the line, we'll just go through the results for the race 1, because that's the thing which will set the grid for race 2. So yes. So we
Yeah,
have, I
so
think, the final results for race 1. Would you like to go through that simply?
yeah, sure. So we had Prakhar Vats, who's won the race with the fastest lap in the BMW, with Sai Prithvi following behind him. He was 21 seconds behind Prakhar Vats. So Sai Prithvi was definitely struggling throughout the race in the wet conditions, but still overall a good race for him. Followed by 8 cylinders, Abhay Thakur, Faizan, Worship the Panda, Rishabh, Take, Ghost, Baba G. They round off the top 10. Oshan, Cannonade, Purav, Gauda, KG, Supreme Kai, Vishnu Anand, Sai Duck SR, FIFA Kanak, Babaji, Akbar Kumar, Raja, Starboy, Washing Powder Nirma, Mr. Raut, uh, Bala, Akshay, Davli Singh, of course, who got disconnected, Hasaka, Star Max Lord, Motomoto, and Shan. That is the grid for race 1. That is the checkered flag.
Yep, and that's the results for race 1. Okay, so simply, apart from all these racing and stuff, let's do some fun. And I see in the chat someone is writing, Tanish's voice is so cute. So is that cute?
I'm not sure who Tanisha is, but she definitely is a fan of you, Tanish.
Maybe she is.
Or maybe it's your alt account. Could be.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have fans of the commentators themselves. So people enjoy watching them and listening to their voice. And considering that your voice is actually somewhat satisfying as well, so I think it does help anyone who's into that.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the compliment, both of you. Okay, so yeah, uh, it's race one over, and now okay. What are you expecting for the race two? Will it be wet or will it be not? Do you want it to be a wet race or not?
I wanted to be a wet race because what we saw in in race one was very interesting, and I think the same sort could happen in race two. Of course, I'm placing my bets on eight cylinders to win the race. I hope I'm not jinxing him because that would absolutely break my heart because he's done very well to land up in P3
Green light.
in
Go, go,
race
go.
one, and yeah, I'm just hoping that some that he can keep it together and he can win.
Yep. And so we'll be right back for the race two because our coordinators need a few minutes to set up the server for the race two, and then we'll be live with the race. So till then, okay, what are your thoughts on this race one? Like, you saw there are a lot of incidents, although we missed a lot of action, I should say, midway. But again, with the replay, we can just go through that and see what exactly happened there. And again, if I would just like to point out, Prakhar was good. See, he was not racing from few races, and he just came back for this race in challenging conditions and finished P1 in race one itself. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a very good comeback race for him and James Scott. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it was a very good comeback race from Prakhar Vats, and I fully believe that as long as he can keep it clean, of course, he is in a very good contention to win the upcoming race as well.
Yep, and again, but it was a bit unfortunate for Davlish, I should say, because yes, he was getting in a comfortable lead, and in a comfortable lead, but still, like, those unfortunate incidents and disconnections are not always in your favor. So yeah.
Yeah, anything can happen in these races, and yeah, it is unfortunate that Davlish got disconnected. But I do believe that he has the pace. I think he can be looking at a decent, at least a top 10 finish in race two over here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a 30-minute race. So I think he has a lot more opportunities to make up the positions.
Yes, so yep, so it's like okay, it's like, see, conditions were challenging, but the track was challenging in itself because it's a 20 corner track, and it's not like the slow speed corners where you just even, like, in wet track you have different lines, you can just take it, even break a bit later, not later than dry conditions, but change your lines and still not lose a lot of lap time. But again, the corners are very fast, so a single mess up, like if you even mess up the entry, your whole set of corners will be gone.
Yeah, definitely. And that's sort of why most of the drivers are, looking at staying on the uh, racing line, the dry racing line that forms in the wet, and that is where they try to make most of their moves. Although we could see some drivers, if it does rain, of course, we could see them try and make a move on the wet side of the track as well. That is, of course, risky because you do lose a lot of traction, especially going through corners like Maggots and Beckett's. That at that speed, if you just dip your tires into the wet patch, you do lose a lot of traction, and just you have to be very careful on the throttle as well as the brakes to make sure you're not locking up, or you just on the exit of a corner, even mid corner. As a matter of fact, you just don't uh, over through your power and then just lose the car like on the exit or even the mid corner, as we saw Panda doing it on the exit of, I'm not sure what the corner's called, but yeah, he did it, and he lost a lot of time because of that one mistake, and that put Prashant, if I'm not wrong, do correct me if I'm wrong again. This is my first time, as I said, commentating over ACC, so I'm still getting used to the drivers' names and the cars and basically general how ACC races go by. But yeah, um, that put him in a very bad position over there, and he got pressured from like about 3 or 4 cars behind him. So that is something that you don't want to be doing, and rather, just keeping it clean on the track and making sure you don't make any mistakes.
And thing regarding that you're just commentating for the first time, it's okay, because when I started as well, there was a bit of doubt what exactly is happening, because first, when coming from F1, you're like, okay, there are number of laps and they'll decide when the race will end. But here it's the timer, so it was like, okay, is it exactly showing the time of the day, or is it showing how much time is left in the race? So even these confusions are there. So yeah, I could agree to that.
Yeah,
So
so we're just waiting for the drivers to join the new lobby, and we can get started off of for race 2 after that.
yep, and it's like I think the race would be going live in 1 minute from the details I'm getting. So yes, there will be a lot more track action, because the drivers in the top three are there. There are a lot of drivers like in the top 10 to fight, and Davlish, who might be starting at the back because of disconnections in race one. So he would be trying to charge the field and not lose a lot of points in the championship to the competitors.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the drivers who had incidents on lap 1, as well as anyone who disconnected or DNF'd for whatever reason, they'll be looking to make a comeback in race 2, since of course it is double points. So people will be trying to make riskier moves, although we hope it does not turn into multi-car incidents like we did see in race 1. But yeah, they'll be trying to make riskier moves to try and gain as many positions as possible, since this could change the face of uh, championship standings in a very short amount of time, of course.
Yes, and right now, as we see, the drivers have the time to again practice a couple of laps. Although after driving so much, I don't think they need any practice as of now. But again, they can just get back in the rhythm after all the unfortunate incidents if happened to any of the drivers, and just get back that motivation and do well in this race.
Definitely, and I think this also gives them like a chance to, if for whatever reason they felt uncomfortable with the setups, they have the time now to figure out what could have gone wrong in whatever terms of what was making them feel uncomfortable, and then they're going to correct it, and hope that whatever race 2 brings, they can do well in that.
Yes, exactly. And as we see, coordinators are just waiting for everyone to join the server, and I think we'll be live with racing soon. Okay, that was a pretty
Alright
good
viewers,
time to say
And
that.
it is a
conditions.
wet
Watch out
race.
Again.
for curbs and exit, and remember to brake
This
early.
is definitely going to cause a bit of chaos. Although I think it is lighter rain than what we saw before. Of course, I could be wrong, but by the looks of it, it does look like lighter rain than what we had before.
Yep, and again a mix of conditions, I should say. So they were like, okay, for the rain in the amount of rain in the previous race, they were like, okay, they had different breaking points, but now even I feel like it's a bit lighter compared to previous ones. So they might be having slightly different breaking points, and a bit later they'll be breaking. So again, a lot to judge and a lot to learn from first initial laps.
Definitely, and I think considering that they have gotten a bit of practice from the first race, I think we can expect much cleaner racing from this race onwards. And of course, not to forget, there will be much closer and exciting racing as well.
Yep. So okay, so it's 20 seconds remaining, and it's a 30-minute race, which in lead it's Prakhar, what's followed by Sai, Prithvi, and Etzel. That finishes our top three. So yes, and the point is we have 30 drivers today, and these are the challenging conditions. So it's like you know, uh, how should I say, like managing your racecraft in so much number of drivers and managing the conditions as well was a bit difficult task.
Definitely, as we can see, Davlish can't wait to get going as he almost overtakes, and I think a few drivers have been reset back to the pits. They didn't
I
ready up in time, I believe.
probably, but right now we can see we are about to go
Waiting for the
green with
green flag.
racing. Would you like to start with that simply?
Green light, give us okay.
Yeah, sure. And as we can see, we have hit green flag, and Davlish already has had contact with someone over there. Someone's lost it right on the start. Davlish still keeping it fairly clean. We can see Akash sort of blocking him off, although again Akash is on the wetter part of the track, so he's going to be struggling with traction, and as we can see he does. Davlish makes a move around the outside, and we're onward with Akbar Kumar right now. Side again, there's a bit of a contact between a couple of drivers, and they do get spun around. I believe it's the same bunch. That's Babaji who was involved in that. I think Moto was also right there, but I don't think Moto has any damage. You can see Davlish Singh still behind these drivers, behind I think that is Akash. Yeah, Akash, Bala. So it's just they're going 3 wide at the back shed. Davlish is trying to make it 4 wide, does not work. The thing's the better of it. Trying to send one down the inside. Yep, he does, and that he's made a move on Starmax slot right there, and he's trying to stick it. And there's someone's facing the wrong way around, as now Starmax is being put under pressure by Moto. And we can see Davlish, he sent one from very far back, goes off wide. Will he be able to keep the position? Yes, he does, because Vishnu Anand's now getting pressured by Akbar over here. Now Davlish is making very, very good moves. Even just on the first lap, he's made up a lot of moves.
Yep, and right now if see Prakarvat's kept his lead from the start, followed by Prithvi, who is just 2 tenths behind him, and I think it was 8 still following side. There's a carnage behind. I think it's Moto, and in the BMW. Okay, I cannot.
That was Shan who spun, and then there was just a chain of contest. So then Moto's been involved in that as well. As Prakarvat is leading from Sai Prithvi by 1 second, and 8 cylinder gets to keep his P3 as Faizan's moved up into P4.
Yes, and again it's the same thing that we saw in the race when it's just there's a lot of contact in the midfield, and it's just making it difficult for the drivers. But Davlish is not caring about that. He's just going through overtaking drivers, and is now already P11 before the end of lap 1. Starting at the back, starting from I think almost P24 and already P11. That's some amazing recovery, I should say.
I believe he's in P10. I think that was FIFA Kanak who went off wide, and the Delta is just stuck. But yeah, I think that was FIFA Kanak who went off wide. So Davlish is currently in P10, starting from I believe it was P25 or something, and because of that, he's made up a lot of positions. Yeah, he's in P10 right now.
Yup, and I don't think he'll take a lot of time to even climb to P3 or P2 even with that pace. So, yep, I think there's a lot to watch out for. And right now we seeing, I think it's Starmax Lord who is following Babaji and trying to make a move. But again, these conditions are not proving easy to keep the car on track. And as we see Baba running wide and Starmax just messing up his braking point, right? As you see Vishnu Anand making a move through Megits. Okay, that was a that we usually don't see overtakes there, and especially in rain.
Definitely, that was a very good move from Vishnu Anand, although of course I have to say Purva Gorda was struggling a bit there, and he's still struggling, so that was sort of expected. As we can see, FIFA Kanak is now trying to make a move on Faizan. Faizan trying to defend it from the outside, goes onto the wet bit, so he's losing a lot of traction. Yeah, he's getting squiggly on the exit, and that's FIFA Kanak who's up into P9. Faizan will be looking to come back through the next corner. Will he send one down the inside? He does send one, goes off wide. This is going to be tricky. Will he be able to keep the position? No, he does not. Concedes back to FIFA Kanak over here. And FIFA Kanak's just very good driving from him right now, putting Faizan under pressure. Faizan fell for it, and he tried to do what Davlish did 1 lap earlier, but of course it did not work out for Faizan.
Yep, and right now we see Davlish already in P8 and now charging behind Akbar Kumar, so he's really making those places pretty fast. And again he did the same thing, forcing the driver in front into mistake and just capitalizing on that. And now he's P7 following Oshan. Okay, Oshan also made a great recovery, I should say. P6 already.
Yeah, definitely, that was a very good recovery drive. Very good first lap from Oshan as well. And as we can see, Davlish Singh, yeah, his techniques are working. He put Akbar Kumar under pressure. Akbar Kumar just fell for the pressure, and he just made a mistake and spun. As we can see, Cannonade is on the back of Faizan, although he does not send a dive bomb since it's not really worth it. He was too far back, keeping it fairly clean. And yeah, I think Faizan's going to be under pressure from a lot more cars if he does not make a move back on Supreme Kai as soon as possible.
Yep, and right, okay, did Akbar Kumar lose positions? I don't know if it felt like that because Akbar Kumar, okay, no, he's in P8, it's just the leaderboard, which is confusing me slightly. Okay, so right now we are on board with Faizan, who is trying to overtake Supreme Kai. Will he make the move? Will he not? He's just going side
Going
by
side
side
by
before
side.
the Megates. So will he be bold enough? I think he will be seeing his nature in driving. So no, he did the opposite and
Yeah, just went
finds
into
it
the wet
difficult.
part over there. As we can see behind, Purur of Gorda makes a move on Candidate. Candidate was just caught napping over there by him. Although now Candidate will be trying to make a move right back on him. And if he can make a move on Purur of Gorda over here, he can definitely make a move on Faizan as well.
Yep, and that was a really good move from Purav Goda because he just capitalized on that. Like there was very small space, very less space for that big car to overtake, and he still sent it and made the overtake right without any, I should say, bumping and any crashes. So that was a pretty clean and great move, I should say.
Definitely, and as we can see, Faizan is just making few mistakes here and there, dipping his tires into the wet parts of the track. He's trying to take different lines compared to Supreme Kai and Pururav Gowda as well, to try and defend off from Pururav Gowda, but also try and attack Supreme Kai. But it's working for him in some places, but he's just messing it up in the exits, which is causing him to snap, and he's just getting that oversteer, and he just can't keep it together.
Yep, and as we see all through, I don't remember which corner is that. The corner after the Hamilton straight, the drivers are just sliding wide because of the rain, and there's very less grip. And again, these cars have much less downforce compared to F1 cars, so
And
it's
we
a
can see
difficult task for the drivers.
third difficulty of that, Anish, with Faizan tried to take a very wide line over there to try and attack Supreme Kai, and it's kind of worked out for him. He's gotten a very good exit from that corner compared to Pururav Gowda. Although he's not close enough to Supreme Kai, he has closed in a lot.
Yep, I think he'll be just waiting for the right corner. And as we see Supreme Kai going wide, will Faizan go for it? I think no, he just places the car at the right point. And Faizan had to take the wider line and he didn't see Puravgada on the inside. There's a bit of touching there and Puravgada makes the move on Faizan.
Faizan just got blocked off by Supreme Kai over there. Very good defending from Supreme Kai. Now Faizan's lost the position, although now he's under attack from Pururav Gowda, who's also looking very quick over here.
Yep, and I think Puravgada would not like to be held up for a lot of time behind Supreme Kai, and he'd just be wanting to, make the move pretty quick and start chasing the driver in front.
Definitely, and we can see he goes off slightly wide over there. That just messes him up, as that's putting Faizan now in contention for the Faizan's trying to attack him. Again, Supreme Kai just blocking them off, and Candidate getting a very good view of this fight that's happening ahead of him. Although these people fighting is putting a lot of drivers behind him, like Babaji and Saidak, into contention for their position as well. They'll have to make moves as soon as possible, or at least try and work together and pull off, so that they're not under pressure from people behind.
Yep,
as we can see, Supreme Kai goes off wide, so that's Pururav Gowda who's going side by side with him right now. Will Pururav Gowda send a move on Supreme Kai? He's trying to send one around the outside. They're still going side by side. He goes off ahead and he sort of cuts him off. There's a bit of contact. Now Faizan's trying to make a move on Pururav Gowda, and Pururav Gowda does leave him space, although he goes off wide but trying to give him space. Now Faizan is still on the track, although he does come out ahead of him, and we can see Davli Singh gets spun around. I think he had a bit of contact there, and he gets hit by Akbar Kumar for good measure. And now Davlish is trying to make a move down the inside of Akbar Kumar. Akbar Kumar, who fell under pressure from Davlish earlier in the race. I think he just happens to get under pressure from Davlish again. Davlish still again trying to stay ahead of Akbar Kumar. Akbar Kumar does make a mistake, and now Davlish is yet again ahead.
Yep, and this 5-car battle, I don't know why I feel like it's similar to that 3-car battle in the Silverstone in F1, because it's just like drivers are just, changing positions every lap, and it's not the same driver leading the pack.
Definitely, as we can see, Supreme Kai has made a mistake somewhere while we were not watching this fight, and he's fallen back down into P14, while now Faizan is getting under pressure from Candidate, and Candidate has Babaji right behind him. So as I said earlier, these people fighting is going to put drivers behind him in contention, and that is exactly what has happened over here. So now Babaji, Raja and such are going to be fighting for that position.
Yep, and as we talk about Davlish, I don't know, I think he was making a really good charge. I don't know why I feel like, did we curse him or did we not? Did we jinx him? But we never wanted to, but yes, that was really unfortunate because the way he started, the number of positions he made already in the lap, when we were really expecting him to be, already close to top 5, but again, that small mistake while following the drivers just costed him a bit more time, but I think considering his pace, he'll climb back again and give us a great show there.
Definitely, I think he definitely has the pace to come back and make moves. And as we can see, Sai Prithvi is starting to close in on to Prakhar Vats over here as Kake and Oshan are very close to each other. I think again this is turned into a fight for P3. So 8 cylinders will have to defend off from the drivers behind him who are starting to form in a train. So it's 8 cylinders going to get under pressure very quickly.
Yep, and can we go on board with Sai Prithvi couple, because I think the top two are pretty close to each other, and Sai Prithvi is just it's the same car, so it just comes down to which driver adapts to the car more and to the conditions more. So I think Sai Prithvi is doing the same thing to Prakhar, which Prakhar used to do to other drivers, just staying behind, keeping the pressure on, forcing the driver in front into mistakes, and just capitalizing on that.
And definitely, and I think it's somewhat working for him as Sai Prithvi is closing in a lot on Prakhar Vats, and Sai Prithvi is very confident on the brakes as well, whereas Prakhar, I see he is somewhat struggling. Although right now we can see that if you paid attention over there, Danish, on the top left where it showed the driver's times, and as we can see, Abhay Thakur, I think that is, or is it Oshan?
I think it's
Kake,
Oshan.
apologies.
Okay.
Apologies, that is Kake. Kake spun, he made a mistake while trying to defend off from Oshan, and he spun, and now he's back down into P5 over here, and he's be trying to make a move right back on coast as well as Oshan as soon as possible. And that just puts Davlish thing into the mix. Davlish has caught them up by a lot over here, and now Davlish should be trying to make a move on Kake, going through Maggots and Beckett's right now. Davlish on his toes over here, trying to put Kake under pressure, although he makes somewhat of a mistake over there, although I think that is legal.
Yep, and if you see, I think the car of the village doesn't look very good from the front. It's just the contacts he was involved in which caused the damage to his car. But still, he's showing tremendous pace, I should say.
Definitely, yeah. He's not made a lot of mistakes here. I think he's only made one mistake throughout the race, keeping it very consistent. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where Davlish ends up at the end of it. I believe he definitely has the pace to get onto the podium. Although, can we go to the first two fighting? I think they're very, very close to each other, Kapil.
And
so
yep,
Sai
go
Prithvi
on.
is closing in. I believe Prakhar did make a mistake somewhere, and Sai Prithvi is closing a lot more compared to before. And I think as I mentioned earlier, I think Sai Prithvi is definitely faster because when they were crossing the line, I saw the lap times that they did, and Sai Prithvi was 9/10 a lap faster than Prakhar Vats. So that's a lot of pace advantage over here, although he has to keep it clean and try and make a move as soon as possible. And as we can see, Davlish is now past Kake, and he's already pulled away 7/10. Kake is definitely struggling after the mistake he made earlier.
Yep, and right now, as you see, I think we are on board with Davlish. Yes, Davlish, and who is trying to chase behind Ghost in that McLaren. So, yep, Davlish would be. I think, see, if I talk about drivers like Davlish, Sai Prithvi, and yes, we can say Sai
See
Prithvi.
carnage unfolding over here. Supreme Kai goes off wide as he's trying to defend off from Baba G. Starboy is in the mix as well. Supreme Kai is going side by side with Starboy, and he gets pushed off wide. Now he's trying to defend off from Starboy. That is, apologies. That was Babaji who was going side by side with. And now Starboy is in the mix as well. Starboy, of course, a pro class driver in the Ferrari. He's trying to get past Supreme Kai as soon as possible since he's fairly quick. And as Babaji gets a drive through.
Okay, I think it's second time. It's like he got one in the previous race too, and now he's got one again. So I think the conditions are not proving very good to him, because I think it's a car just running wide every corner and just getting that track warnings, and just after it's like 3 track warnings and it gives you a drive through. So yeah, that's unfortunate.
That is what's happening to Babaji. Unfortunately, he has a drive through now. So that is going to be a plus 1 position. And as we can see, Starboy makes a mistake. He's gone off wide, keeps it clean, does not spin though. But yeah, that was really unfortunate for Starboy considering he did have a lot of pace. He was right behind Babaji as well, but now he's just made a mistake and he's fallen right back down the order.
Yep, I think he was just trying to get the traction pretty early compared to drivers in front and just, make the move the driver in front. But again, going a bit too much on the throttle and wet conditions just made it difficult for the car to get traction that quick. And he just lost the rear and ran off track. So, yep, you just have to be calm in these conditions and, wait for that right moment to make the move.
Definitely, and while we're talking about going off track, we saw Sidak going off track, and that just gave way to Rishabh, and Rishabh overtook him as I think that was Starboy who went off wide as well. No, sorry, it was Sidak who went off wide as well. So Sidak is definitely struggling at this point.
Yep, and right now we are on board with Starboy, who is trying to make some moves and get back
Positions
his
that he did
position.
make
Yep.
up after he made the mistake. Although we can see now Supreme Kai is also made a mistake now. He's under pressure from Psyduck as well as Starboy. Starboy very close up onto Psyduck over here. Psyduck just going off onto the wet side. I think he wants to let Starboy by as soon as possible. I think he knows that he's much faster. As now that's left Starboy to try and fight with Supreme Kai, and Supreme Kai going off onto the curb, making a bit of a mistake over there, going deep. Starboy pressuring Supreme Kai a lot over here right now. I think he's very desperate to make the positions back.
Yep, and in front, I think Prakhar. I don't know if he increased the lead or managing that thing because the gap seems a bit more than it was before. And it's just that I was saying coming back to my point. Yeah, drivers like Davlish, Prakhar, and okay. For now, I think we should see Starboy making a move on Supreme Kai. And I think that
So
was a pretty
Supreme
easy
Kai,
move.
Psyduck are, yeah, it was definitely an easy move considering Supreme Kai and Psyduck are struggling a lot in these conditions right now. Although I think it has stopped raining, and as we can see, Bala just goes off wide to give Starboy away,
Again,
and Starboy makes the same mistake at the same corner, and he's lost the same amount of positions over there. Starboy really needs to get back into this. He needs to stay focused on the track and make sure he's not making a lot of risks since the track is still wet.
Yep, it's just that I don't know if it's the setup or his traction settings which is making it difficult for him to, which is making his exit difficult through that corner. But again, he needs to fix that because if he keeps on losing the car again and again there, it would just make his life difficult in this race. Because that corner is the one which leads to the straight, and if you mess up the exit to the straight, you're gonna lose a lot of time and positions.
Definitely, and as we can see, he's just going off wide, and that's just caused him to lose position. As we can see, Sai Prithvi has made a move for the lead. Prakhar Vats is definitely struggling. Sai Prithvi, we can see 2/10 of a lap faster on the previous lap, and Sai Prithvi's finally made the move. He was struggling in race one in the wet conditions. Although I think he's definitely managed to get pulled back, and he's leading the race right now in P1.
I think it was Prakhar who made some mistake because again the lap time with a difference of 2 seconds. I think he literally made some mistake or braked a bit later and wide, which gave Prithvi the chance to overtake Prakhar there.
Definitely has to be since Prakhar was maintaining the 1 second gap fairly easily. Although now Prakhar is coming right back at Sai Prithvi with the slipstream, with the help of the slipstream. And that is Mr. Raut who's right ahead of him, and he has to move since he's a blue flagged car. Does move away, gives way to both the race leaders right now. And Sai Prithvi is still leading the race, although with 10 minutes to go, he's being put under pressure by Prakhar Vats a lot. And of course, by the looks of it, by the looks of race 1 as well as the majority of race 2 right now, Prakhar Vats has definitely been the faster driver, although we can see Sai Prithvi goes off wide, and now that's put Prakhar Vats right behind Sai Prithvi. Prakhar Vats thinks the better of it, does not send it over there, but yes, still Prakhar Vats very, very close to Sai Prithvi.
Yep, and it's like these two drivers are putting a great show for us today because they're just exchanging positions. Couple of laps, like earlier it was Prakhar in the lead, and after like chasing for a few laps, I should say, and Prakhar making a mistake, Cyber decided so now I'll lead the race, and now he's leading the race. But again, I feel like Prakhar would be wanting to get back at position since only 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes remaining in the race. So, yep, as you see, Cyber is just defending the inside, and Prakhar just sends it through that corner and gets the move done, I think. But okay, I think he'll just keep his
Prithvi
spot
is coming
easily
back
now.
at Prakhar, although let's not discount Sai Prithvi just yet, Tanish. He's very, very close to Prakhar right here, and while this is happening, FIFA Kana gets a drive through. But let's move back to this fight. We can see over here Sai Prithvi is now trying to attack Prakhar Vatt's getting very, very close with the help of the slipstream. Will he be trying to make a move on Maggots and Packets, do you think?
I don't think so. He'll risk that because he's still got 10 minutes to make the move for the lead. But so like he'll take it easy for this lap because again these are two very similar pace drivers, and he would not be wanting to risk it in these final stages of the race. So he would like just he'll just keep calm and wait for Prakhar to make a mistake again and just get back that position from him.
I think that's also a very plausible thing that could happen. Although Sai Prithvi, I'm pretty sure he's getting desperate as the minutes count by, as the corners go by, as the laps go down. Sai Prithvi is going to get more and more desperate to try and make a move for that lead and perhaps even stay ahead.
Yep. So right now I don't know if what will happen between these two, but I think in this final stage of the race, these two would be really desperate, to go as fast as they can and not lose the P1. So yep.
Definitely, and we can see that Prakhar Vats has already pulled off 4 tenths from Sai Prithvi after he made a move back for the lead.
As we
Although Sai
see,
Prithvi, as I said earlier in race one, Sai Prithvi very confident on the brakes, so he just catches up a lot of time on the brakes over here compared to Prakhar Vats, and he's right on the back of Prakhar Vats.
I don't know why, but it just feels like the driver who is chasing is just a bit more comfortable right now in these conditions because he just gets a reference from the driver in front at what point he's braking, if he can go a bit later on the brakes or not.
Yeah, definitely. I think the slipstream is helping the driver chasing out a lot since the track is drying up a fair bit, although I don't think it'll be enough for the drivers to consider pitting and going onto the dry tires or the slick tires. But yeah, it has dried up a lot. It has even stopped raining. It stopped raining midway through the race. It has dried up a fair bit. So I think it just comes down to whoever can now make a mistake. Although there's not much wet patches left on the track, and there's a very solid dry line.
Yep, and as we see, Prakhar was just trying to cut the slipstream off, as you said, and just trying to keep as much gap as he can to Sai Prithvi because Sai Prithvi is not leaving him now. He'll just stay as close as he can. Either wait for Prakhar to make a mistake or try to get that overtake done pretty quick. But right now, HL is easily managing that P3 and is not under any pressure from the drivers, although Davlish is already in P5 and is now chasing behind Oshan. So considering it's 7.5 minutes left, do you think Davlish can make the move on even 8th?
I believe he can if he keeps it clean and has the pace. And Sai Prithvi trying to send one around the outside just doesn't work out for him. There's not much room for the cars to go there, and that just cost him a lot of time over here. He was literally right behind Prakhar Vats, I think about 2 or 3 tenths, and now he's about half a second behind. So it's not worked out that move for him.
Yep, and right now I think okay, it's still 1.5 second gap to Oshan, so we still got some breathing space I think from Davlish. And right now, as we see, I think the field is a bit spread up, I should say, because as I can see, there's not a lot of battlings going on the track, and it's just that 1 second or 2 second delta between cars, and I think drivers are now taking it a bit easier, I should say, because it's like the ending stages. They don't want to risk it a lot, and if it's like they just want to finish whatever position they are and not lose that position as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think they just want to settle it off into a rhythm now. And as we're talking about that, Supreme Kai makes a mistake yet again. And now Raja is trying to make a move on Supreme Kai. This is a battle for P15, and if this battle continues onwards, then I think Psyduck as well as Vishnu Anand could get involved as well in the final few minutes of this race.
Yep, and again we are back on board with the top two, and Prakhar was about to lose his rear slightly there, and which helped Cypress to close the gap so much. But again, that set of corners, Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel, it's not easy to make the move here. And it's not even easy, plus a very risky corner because wet conditions, there's very less grip on the track, so it's very difficult to keep the car stable. Right now, okay, yes, your point again, slipstream is helping a lot the driver behind. So will he go around the outside of the inch? I think he's going for the move on the outside and just doing a switchback, but Prakhar
Yeah,
just
he blocked
parks his
off.
car on the apex, and it's just brilliant defending from Prakhar.
Yeah, but Sai Prithvi has the chance of sending one down the inside over here, or to even try it around the outside, or he could try switch back. It's not going to work out for him, so I think he'll be trying to get a good exit off of here and make a move coming into the heavy braking zone that's right after this next corner.
Yep, and he's just parking his car. And, every slow corner, he's just putting his car in the middle of the track, so it's just confusing Sai Prithvi. So either he goes left or goes right. So which way should he go to make the move? Right now, he sends on the outside. Will he make the move? Then Sai Prithvi? I don't think so. So yep,
No, it
Prakhar
does
still
not.
keeps his lead. But again, this is leading to another straight. So I think Sai Prithvi got a much better exit than Prakhar. Will he be able to make a move now?
No, I think Prakhar did get a much better exit than Sai Prithvi over there, as Prakhar did pull away a fair amount on the exit over there. Again, Sai Prithvi is just trying to make these moves. He's trying to put Prakhar Vats under pressure and force him to make a mistake, but it's not working out for Sai Prithvi again, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to repeat it yet again. Sai Prithvi is very, very confident on the brakes, although it's just not going to work out for him if he keeps trying to make the same sort of moves and he doesn't properly plan it out right now. I mean, he's been faster than Prakhar Vats throughout the race. He's been setting faster lap times throughout the race, but if he does not plan and properly execute his moves, it's just not going to work out for him at the end.
Yep, so right now he might be thinking he's just, after all these, like, almost 40 minutes of driving, 45 minutes of driving, he would have realized which is the weakest point for the Prakhar on track. So he's just waiting for him and just planning those moves on that particular corner. Right now, he's very close to Prakhar, almost side by side, going to the back straight. Will he be able to make the move? Will he be able to not? We'll find out soon. I think Prakhar again getting the inside, parking the car, not allowing Cyrus to do the switch back. And he's just placing his car at the right point and not allowing Cyril to make any move. He's properly placing his car in the middle of the track. And just brilliant defending and brilliant racing from these two.
Yeah, definitely, and we can see Sai Prithvi is just, as I mentioned earlier, he's just going to keep trying to make the same sort of moves, and they're just not working out for him because Prakhar Vats knows where to position his car. Although Prakhar Vats is making mistakes here and there, that's really going to help out Sai Prithvi as well. But if Sai Prithvi cannot again plan his moves properly, or if he's just going to try and attempt the same sort of moves, it's just not going to work out for him. He's not going to get the P1 position.
Yep. You see Sai Prithvi getting very close to Prakhar. So again, it's the slipstream would help her out. I think it feels like Sai Prithvi is taking a lot more curb than Prakhar. I don't know why, but that jump or that bump is just making him lose a small amount of time while going through the straight. I don't know why. Did you feel like that?
I think it's more of that he's just making, he's trying to make the same sort of lines, he's trying the same sort of moves which are not working out. I think he'll be much better of trying to think of other and better ways of making moves rather than just trying to make the similar ones around different sort of corners, because Prakhar Vats already knows what sort of moves he'll be making. I believe this is the last lap of the race.
Yeah, yes, this is the last lap of the race, so it's all to play for now between Sai Prithvi and Prakhar Vats. Who will come out on top? What do you think?
I think if Sai Prithvi, again, as I mentioned earlier, if he tries to make the same sort of moves around the same sort of corners, he is going to stay in P2 because Prakhar Vats is in Sai Prithvi's head right now. He knows what he's thinking of. He knows when he's trying to make a move, and we can see Sai Prithvi's not gotten a good exit compared to the laps before. He is sort of far out, so he won't be going side by side over here into this corner, into Stowe. Although he'll be inching in closer and closer, and of course Sai Prithvi is going to get very, very desperate at this last lap to try and make a move on Prakhar Vats, and we can already see that desperation as he's making mistakes here and there. He's trying to go faster than Prakhar Vats, but he's just making those mistakes, which is slowing him down a lot.
Yep, he's trying to get as much close as he can in this final. I think it's just like he's full sending it, and it's not like no care for the traction, no care for the tires, just full send as much as he can extract out of the car and just make that move pretty quick because the race is about to get over in a couple of corners, and he doesn't have much time left to get that P1 from Prakhar, and we all know how good
Realistically,
Prakhar is
sorry to cut
defending.
you off, Tanish, but
Yep.
realistically, he only has about one corner left where he can properly make a move, and which is the one that's coming up right after this one, and just not close enough for the move. So unless Prakhar Vats makes a mistake while breaking into this corner, or even the one after, he's just going to win this race. Although Sai Prithvi again, he's getting very very close to Prakhar Vats, but Prakhar Vats is keeping it ahead, grounding off the final corner. It is going to be a drag race. Will it be a drag race? I don't think so. I think that's going to be an easy one for Prakhar Vats. Prakhar Vats comes off to the last corner. Prakhar Vats crosses the line and
Podium has
wins
finished already.
ACC Race 2 at Silverstone.
Yep, he's the winner of both the races here, coming back from that break and winning of both the races of the first race itself. That's some really great showing from him.
Definitely, and as 8 cylinders is on the podium, he's P3. Davrish did make a move at the end of the day on Ghost and Akbar, although only P4 for him. So he's gonna be very frustrated with himself as he made a mistake in the middle that cost him a lot of time. And I believe if he didn't do so, I think it would have been an easy P3 for him.
Yep, and to be honest, seeing the performances from the drivers, there are a lot of drivers in contention for the driver of the day today.
Definitely, and although the action's not over yet, as FIFA Kanak is right on the back of Cannonade, Cannonade is being put under pressure by him. They have a bit of a contact over here. Will FIFA Kanak be able to overtake him before the line? No, gets loose on the exit. I think that's wraps for that, and I think that's Cannonade in P11 for sure.
Yep, so as I think it's just, okay, the battle is still on between these two guys. I think it's Vishnu Anand
Although
and Supreme
Supreme
Kai.
Guy does, again, apologies for cutting off Tanish.
Yep.
Supreme Guy does have a drive through, and I believe that gets converted off into a time penalty if you haven't served it. So I think there's going to be a time penalty. So Supreme Guy is going to be losing a lot of positions over here, and he serves and he does a Schumacher and tries to serve the drive through on the last corner,
I think it would
last
have
lap.
been a direct disqualification if he didn't serve it before the ending of the race. So I think it was necessary for him to finish the race to avoid the disqualification.
Yep, and he does get a 30-second time penalty. So all of that for basically nothing.
Uh, okay, yep, we can say that because that was pretty unfortunate for him because after all this effort, after driving in these challenging conditions, and now just getting even after serving that drive through and still getting that penalty, I think that was very unfortunate from him. That too in the final lap of the race.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the results are bugged here. Okay, there they are. So, if you don't mind, sorry, Tanesh, why don't you run us through the final finishing order for today's?
Yep. So going through the finishing order, we have the Prakhar who won both races of the round three, followed by Cyprus with amazing showing between these two drivers today. Followed by 8 cylinders in P3, who is a silver class driver and some showing some great pace in these challenging conditions. Followed by Davlish. Oh my god, that was some great recovery. Almost starting at the back, almost P24 or 25, I don't know exactly it was. But and in these conditions, climbing back to P4, that's some amazing showing from him. Followed by Ghost, Akbar Kumar, Puragoda, Kake, and in the AM class winner 5-0, followed by Rishabh, Cannade, FIFA Kanak, Starboy, Raja, Vishnu Anand, followed by Sidak, Supreme Kai, KG, Oshan. Can you scroll down a bit, couple? Yep, thank you. Followed by Moto in P20. Behind him is Akshay Shivani, followed by Mr. Rod, then Raidu, Abhay Thakur. I think he had some great showing in race one, but I don't know if he was involved in incidents in race two. So I think couple we still haven't finished the standings. Can you just go? Okay, thank you. Yeah, behind Abhay Thakur, it's Stamex Lord, Shan, Worship the Panda, who didn't have a great race today, I should say, followed by Washing Powder, Nirma, and Babaji. So that's all for the race. And now I think it's time for the podium interviews.
And Babaji got disqualified. That I think that was for not serving his drive-through.
Green light.
So
Give it all you got.
it's not going to really lift up Babaji's mood today. Definitely after the sort of race he had.
Yep. So I think that was some good action today. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, that was very interesting. The qualifying was wet. The first race was also wet. Of course, the qualifying we didn't see much drivers uh, setting a lap time. I think about 8 or 9 of them were struggling, and they did not set a lap at the end of the day. Of course, uh, wasn't the case for people like Davlish, Prakhar Vats as well, who set very very good qualifying lap times. Race one was wet, so we did get to see a lot of carnage on on the first lap, as well as the action that followed after throughout the race. And then, of course, race two was very interesting to see the fight between Sai Prithvi and Prakhar Vats in the last couple of laps.
Yep. So in the meantime, I'll try to drag the drivers in the VC. I think we have okay. Prakhar Vats is still not there. Prakhar Vats and Sai Prithvi are still missing. So okay, so simply in the meantime, why not you start with the driver in P3 today and the silver class winner, Eitzel.
Yeah, sure. Etzel, very good race from you over here. Race one, race two. Both the races you kept it very clean. All the race one, there was a bit of a train forming behind you. You kept it very, very clean. You stayed on track. You stayed focused, and you got P3, I believe, in both the races, and I think you won the silver class as well in both the races. So, talk us through both of your races.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a difficult race for sure. I definitely did not expect to get P3. I think it was more a case of me just staying consistent and trying my best and trying to keep the car on track. The first race, I got my setup completely wrong, so the pressures were way off and my TC was way off. I spent the first 5 laps basically exploring my car rather than exploring the conditions. So, yeah, happy with P3. I think I got P3 in probably the most opportune race, considering it being double points and whatnot. So, yeah, really happy with the race. And yeah, at the end, I was worried that Davlish might catch me, but I think him and Oshan had a good battle behind. So, yeah, happy with the result overall, and I'll take that, I guess.
Definitely. And anything from you, Tanish?
So Eitzel, again, you told me at the start not to show you spinning on the stream. What happened exactly? Why didn't you spin? We wanted to show you spinning. How?
Actually, I did have a sort of semi-spin coming through Stowe in the second race. I lost about 5 seconds there to Oshan and Davlish. I think in the last 10 or so minutes, but it wasn't like a proper spin. It was just like a big hairy moment. So, no, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I did not produce a spin today, but I think that was for the best because the conditions in both races were absolutely torrid. So I can't imagine what it would have been like in traffic.
Yep, dude, amazing race from you. It's really a great result for you. Great job.
Yeah, I would also like to say welcome back to the podium for Prakhar. I think after a long time he's back in racing and he's done a great job of taking the win. And I think him and Sai Prithvi must have put on a really good fight at the front.
Really amazing fight today. Yes.
That's on the podium, Itzel. And Tanish, why don't you take us with our P2 sitter?
Yep, P2 is a Sai Prithvi. So, sir, I think a pretty hectic race for you just trying to get that P1 from Prakhar in race 2 and just trying to make those moves and deciding which corner is the right one and which corner is the weakest for Prakhar. What's
From pole for race one really got my nerves going. I couldn't calm myself down. That was my first pole in IRC after a long time. So I was battling my nerves in race one and the conditions at the same time. I managed to stay a little consistent. I did have a moment with Starboy with the lap car, which put me way behind in race one. Race two, I was a lot more confident, was less wet than race one. I did have some practice on it before, I guess. So I could keep up with Prakhar Woods a little better. I was looking for some opportunities, but at the same time, I also wanted to take it safe just to make sure I can confirm that I get second place at the very least in the worst case scenario. It was really fun though. Very welcome back, Prakhar. It was really fun to race.
Yep, great job from you, Sai Prithvi, and getting that pole in those, challenging conditions. And okay, there was a bit, I think that you got a bit unfortunate in the race one, but again, race two, some amazing showing from you. And, that consistency throughout the race was just amazing. Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
So simply, would you like to give me the chance to start the interview with Prakhawat? Or you want to ask any questions to Sai?
I would want to ask a question to Sai
Yep,
actually.
sure, go ahead.
So Sai, we saw throughout the race while you were trying to fight with Prakarvats, you were very, very confident on the brakes, as well as you were trying to pull off moves left, right, and center on Prakar. Maybe put him under pressure through corners where he would usually expect. So did you perhaps think he could perhaps make a mistake somewhere or just fall under pressure from how late you were braking and still sticking it on the track?
Yeah, so actually, I know Prakar is a very experienced driver, and it's gonna take a lot more to make a mistake than just some pressure. I was just trying to get good exits, especially out of Chapel. I noticed in Chapel I was always getting a better exit than him there. I was also later on the brakes, like at the last corner, last F1 corner. So here and there I was faster than him, but in the end it simply wasn't enough because Prakar had some excellent defending skills.
Definitely, and that is what eventually happened. Although it was very clean racing from the both of you, very close racing as well. So, yeah, congrats on the P2.
Thank you.
So now coming back to the race winner of both races, Prakhar Vats. First of all, welcome to the league racing back again, and just showing what you are. So okay, I'll not speak anything. I'll just leave to you how you're feeling right now, and coming back and driving that fast. It's all on you now.
No, I think it was. I think I was lucky that it was a wet race. If this was a dry race, I wouldn't have been there. Probably P3, P2 at best. In the dries, obviously, the Vlish was much faster. So I think I'll walk you through both the races. So race one, I was not expecting to be P3. I actually just at the very last moment, finished like completed a lap, and that was good enough for P3. So I knew okay, there's something happening. So that was a P3 start, and yeah, race one was all about just focusing on the first few laps because I knew that I had to get past Davlish because once he gets in his rhythm, and obviously he's been in the game for for much more frequently than I am, so I knew he would get into his rhythm very quickly. So I just knew that I had to pressurize him as quickly as possible and as much as possible. So that worked on Sai in the first race, but couldn't on Davlish. So as much as I would have wanted to get past Davlish on the track, right, that couldn't happen. He disconnected unfortunately, and I think if it were not for that disconnect, I think it would have been an awesome race. I mean, I would have loved it. I mean, regardless of what result would have been. Race 2 was much more interesting. I think race 2, I mean, what so I think probably Sai would have been hating me through all of these corners like village and so. But what I was actually doing was that I underfueled by about a liter and a half. So I made some calculations while we were at 11 or 12 seconds, 12 minutes, and I realized that okay, if I continue at my pace, we'll have to go for one lap extra. So I knew that I had to lose, 1 or 2 seconds per lap for the next 5 laps. So I let him go on purpose. I think I came coming out of the last corner. I let him go on purpose, and I thought, okay, if I can just stick behind him and then save a little time for the both of us. I mean, just defend and then aggressively, try for overtakes. I would lose a little time. So I just wanted to do that. And the last few laps, I mean, I would say I had it under control. The good thing was I had no nerves because no expectations. So I was just parking at the apex. I think my lap times were like 2.5 to 3 seconds slower than what they could have been. But the objective was to slow it down for everybody and then finish within a lap. Like not do that extra lap. So that was the objective, and I think I'm proud of that calculation, if not the driving.
Yep, some great showing from you again. And I think there's one more reason why Sahi must be hating you because that your traditional defending, just placing the car in the middle of the track and not allowing the driver to either go on the inside or the outside. Just confusing the driver behind and making him a bit frustrated, I should say, like which exactly place the driver should go.
No, I think if there is anybody on the entire grid I would have done this with, it would have been Sai. I think. I mean, I've raced with him a lot. I think in different I would say competitions. and I know that he's a very very safe driver. So I knew that if it was anybody in the entire grid that I can carry out this experiment successfully with, it would be Sai, and I just did that. I think on some occasions it was like almost millimeters from my car, right? And if I'm pretty sure if it were anybody else in the entire grid, they would have punted me and I would have spun. But I had that trust in Sai, and I just parked it at the apex, and I knew that he wouldn't do anything that's not, I would say, not possible. Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, incredible racing in the second race, particularly.
Yep, really great showing from both of you, Prakhar and Sai. Really great job. We really enjoyed it in commentary box. And yep, congrats for that P1.
Yeah, it's good to be, I think, back momentarily. I would not be able to compete in every race, I know, because work keeps me away from racing and sometimes the country even. But yeah, I mean, I'll try to do as many races as possible, and would try to land up somewhere in the entire drivers title championship table. So yeah, that is what the goal is.
Yep, and best of luck to you. And we want you to attend as many races as you could. So yeah, best of luck with that.
Thanks, Anish.
So simply, any questions?
Well, nothing from me. You basically covered everything I wanted to ask Prakhar. But yeah, congrats, Prakhar, on that podium, on
Thanks,
that win,
thanks,
actually.
Yeah.
thanks, everyone. Bye.
So before moving to the driver of the day interview, let's have a discussion with our AM class winner, who is Faizan. So Faizan, are you with us?
Yep.
So Faizan, talk us through your race. I think there were a lot of happening in the race, a lot of battlings and just exchange of positions throughout the race. How was it?
First of all, hello, Kapil. Good to see you. Coming to the race, I think the first um, race was the wet one, and didn't expect for the wet thing. Just tried to keep it clean. I didn't even know I was in which position. I think I finished P6 or something. Until the end, I was just trying to keep it on the track. And in race two, I started a bit higher, but I forgot to increase my traction. I think I was running traction level 2 on the dry one. Forgot to increase it to like 5 or 6, which I was running in the wet. So I spun and fell down, but happy to finish in the top 10 in the both races. And that's what matters. And yeah, nice
Yep.
weekend.
That's really great job from you. And I think the reason that you were losing the rear, maybe running a bit wide, I think it was through stow. Was it the reason the traction only, or was it the setup that was a bit of hybrid and not intended for the wet conditions?
I was running the completely dry setup in both the races. So yeah, I think it was a setup.
Oh my god, that was some really great showing from you then today, because dry setup in these conditions was some amazing showing. So great job.
Thanks.
So simply, any questions to Faizan?
I definitely have a question for Faizan. Faizan, we saw, I believe it was in race 2 or race 1. Do correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was in race 2. Earlier in the race, we saw that you were scraping off for, I think, about P10 or P9 or something like that. And there was a multi-car battle, and there was moves being made here and there. We did see a few moves from you, trying to put pressure on the drivers here and there. But, of course, you made a few mistakes and fell back. So did you think that perhaps, you couldn't recover after that?
Yeah, it was pretty good battles there in the midfield. I think I made mistakes by braking on the wet part of the track and overshooting the corner once. Other times, I think there were usually more than 2 cars fighting there, so there were 3 cars in overall. So I was just trying to brake a bit earlier and try to stay clear and see what the cars ahead do. And I think I got both the cars at the end. So yeah.
Yeah, so well, that's all from me. Good job on that win in your class, Faizan, and yeah, hope to see that you could perhaps win more races going on ahead in the season.
Yep. I look forward to it.
So simply, would you like to start with the interview of our, which we feel like driver of the day, Davlish Singh, with some great recovery in race 2?
Yeah, definitely. Davlish, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. So I'll
Yeah, so
probably start with my query. I think from the server settings, I sort of judged that maybe having a wet race would be uh, sort of on the rarer side. Maybe the probability was quite low, but yeah, turned out to be wet. So now I didn't even prepare a setup rather, and just put on some wet tires and got going as soon as the quali started. I saw that it was going to rain, so I didn't waste any time creating a setup. And then I think I miscalculated my fuel. The pole was mine to lose. I think Sai carried a lap extra fuel. So I think the time track helped him get the pole at the end. But yeah, first race, I was hoping that Prakhar was pretty much on my tail till the time I was in the race. After that, I got disconnected. I was hoping that maybe we would have had a great race. But yeah, that didn't turn out. Even in the second race, I got a lot of damage at the start. It was overtaking was pretty much very difficult for me. I was losing a lot of time on the straights. But yeah, a lot of spins and a lot of crashes, and even Oshan's game crashing gave me the P5. Sorry, gave me the P4. I would have finished P5 otherwise. Yeah, that is pretty much it.
Yeah, so I mean, it was unfortunate that you got disconnected in the first race, and you definitely had the pace of winning by a very comfortable margin. Of course, that didn't end up happening. Although in the race two, we saw with, of course, the carnage on lap one that happened in the back, and you just managed to keep it clean. And I believe you're up into P10 at that point. I think on the first lap itself, somewhere around P10. So yeah, that was a very good showing from you of pace. Although yeah, it was unfortunate that I believe you did make a mistake somewhere in the middle while you're trying to fight. I believe it was Akbar. So do you think that perhaps you couldn't have made up at least up until to P4 at that point?
Yeah, definitely. So P4 was in sight at that point. But what happened was that we were three wide going into, I don't know the corner name exactly, so that tight right-hander. Uh, so what happened was Kake was on the extreme inside, and then I had Ghost right in front of me. He maybe just under braking moved a bit towards the left, and I was on the extreme left. I had to go onto the curb to avoid hitting him, and the curb just spun me out. So yeah, my engine got turned off, and then Akbar came and hit me from behind.
All right, that was very interesting. Of course, you had a lot of pace, and I believe if you had just a few more minutes in the race, I think you could have been fighting 8 cylinders for the podium as well. But yeah, very good recovery from your side, and congratulations.
Thank you.
From my end, also great job, Davlish, because the way you were making the moves and already P11 by before the end of lap one was just immense. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. So I guess that's it from our side today. So simply, would you like to end the stream today?
Yeah, sure. That was very interesting ACC race we had there. Both the races were wet, and yeah. Don't forget that we also have F122. Our F122 boys are coming up tomorrow at 30 p.m. for tier 2 and 8 p.m. for tier 1. So don't forget to check us out. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Make sure to like this live stream. And if you're interested in racing with us, then make sure to join the Discord server that we have. The link is on your screen right now. And that is it from myself, Simply YT, and Tanish tonight. Signing off. Bye bye.
Bye.